Dear Ruby, congratulations. We're so happy to inform you that you have been selected for the scholarship. Welcome to the Vienna Master in Applied Human Rights.
Growing up in Nairobi, Kenya, I loved school a lot. I loved the camaraderie it offered me. I loved going to school every day and hanging out with my friends and learning a lot from my teachers. As a child, I was very open and I was very curious. My first teacher was my mother. I loved how she would explain things to me and completely blow my mind. One day we were watching television and I asked her, why is it that there are black people in the United States? Because growing up, I was only 8 at the time. I only thought black people were in Africa. And my mother explained it to me, to an 8-year-old child, about the history of the transatlantic slave trade in a way that I could really understand. To be a lawyer can mean different things to different people because there's a lot of avenues and a lot of fields that you can get into. But for me, it means constantly understanding the challenges that we have in the world and trying to figure out the ways in which we can approach them with regard to justice. And when I was introduced to human rights law in my 3rd year of law school, I was completely enthralled by it. I loved engaging with the idea of human dignity and that every human being has worth. I knew I would study human rights, but I never thought that I would end up in Vienna. But what brought me to this city is the program itself. I always felt like I was the type of person who couldn't really be boxed into one thing, and the opportunity to engage in an interdisciplinary course really attracted me, and I ended up in Vienna, and I love my time here. You know, the program changed my life in many ways. First of all, because education completely transforms an individual. I have been really fortunate to access the kind of education that I have received in this program. But the reality is that the world is really unfair and we live in an inequality crisis. And there's so many people like me around the world in very different situations and very different contexts who would like to make meaningful change, but what they lack is access, perhaps because of their gender, perhaps because they're facing a lot of conflict in their countries, and perhaps because of finances. And the opportunity to get access to this kind of education would enable them to realize their dreams. And the kind of dreams that are realized in the field of human rights don't just impact the communities in the present, they can be very transgenerational. Funding scholarships is really meaningful because it provides change makers with an opportunity to make a difference in the lives of their communities and their societies.